Welcome to the Affluent CEO Show, the premier space where high-achieving women elevate their businesses with wealth, sovereignty, and ease. Your host, Yuliana is a world-class conscious business strategist, transformational coach, and best-selling author of Unbecoming You. She specializes in helping visionary women break free from stagnation, amplify their influence, and achieve effortless success through soul-aligned strategy. Beyond entrepreneurship, Yuliana is on a mission to eradicate gender-based violence and poverty, empowering women to step into their highest potential. It's time to move beyond hustle culture and embrace authentic leadership, high-value positioning, and the mastery of both energy and strategy. Join our elite circle of sovereign female entrepreneurs as they unlock the codes to quantum scaling, financial freedom, and unapologetic success. Your next level breakthrough starts now.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Affluent CEO Show. And today I have the powerhouse woman, Suzana. And Suzana has been working very, very closely with Bob Proctor, which is one of the men that I would admire as a mentor throughout my life as well. He helped me a lot during my first period of spiritual awakening, understanding a lot about myself, understanding about the paradigm shift, and many things that he talks about. And yeah, I have Suzana today, and she has a business called Your 2 Minds. Very interesting name. Tell us a bit more about that, Suzana.
Sure. Hi, Yuliana. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's such a pleasure to be here. So your 2 minds really means a number of things, and it's interesting as my business continues, it goes even deeper. But initially it was, your conscious and subconscious mind, but it also can be, times when you're confused, so you're in 2 minds. It can be the negative and the positive mind. But nowadays it's even deeper. It's the spiritual mind or the ego mind, and also your heart center mind and your brain mind. So there's a lot of research on the heart and brain coherence, which is something that I'm extremely passionate about. So your 2 minds it's basically really, it fits all aspects of us and taps into every part of us. It's not just the conscious and subconscious mind anymore.
I love the topic of coherence. I think it's not yet as the buzzword as, subconscious and conscious minds and stuff, but I think coherence state is a very powerful state that we all want to tap into, and we get to tap into at stage. Do you have some simple trick to get into the coherence?
Yeah, sure. So that's another deep topic. So coherence basically means that, there's a lot of evidence saying that the heart is actually our first mind, our first brain. There are so many neurons. There is so much going on in the heart. It's the center of intuition and all-knowing.
Yeah.
The brain is an organ that helps us survive, and it is basically a thought-producing machine. Now, we need both.
Yes.
Now, when the heart, and there's also a lot of research from the Heart Math Institute that the heart resonates beyond our bodies. It can be measured, meters and meters away, particularly when it's a vibration of joy, love, gratitude, the higher level vibrations that have been studied by David Hawkins. So this is all science. This is all science. A simple technique to get heart and brain coherence, which I teach the base level of my clients, because most of my clients want to achieve greater goals. They want to achieve greater success. So the basics and the very basics, one thing if you wanted to take away from this conversation is really be clear with what you want. So your mind needs to be very clear. It needs a clear image of where you're going, and so see your goal achieved, and then what is the feeling? What is the feeling of having achieved that goal? So that's mind, heart, coherence at the very basic level.
Okay. So what was your journey? What's the pivotal moment that got you into this whole, business of your 2 minds? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So you know, I'll be really short, but as a child,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that this was my journey. I knew exactly what I was here to do. I always had that ability to connect to human beings on the spiritual level, understand their blocks. I was one of those
Yeah.
children that babies to 80-year-olds would want to be around me. So I knew I was always going to do that. Um, you know, then my path led me to studying psychology and counseling. I've always been fascinated by spirit, by
Mm.
mind, and our human potential, which goes on forever. Um, I had a career of close to 30 years in the helping professions, probably just under 30 years, where most of which I was in leadership, senior management,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't quite it for me. I felt restricted. I felt like
Yeah.
it wasn't the way to go. During that time, I always wanted to work for myself. I knew my gift would be the strongest in my own environment, and
Mm.
I along the way, you know, constantly studying personal development, I found out about Bob Proctor. He was the
Mm-hmm.
person that stood out, him and a couple of other people, Paulo Coelho,
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza, and Bob Proctor were probably my three major mentors that I stuck to. And as I was driving to work, I was driving, but I wasn't, you know, I was actually on stage with Bob Proctor in my mind. And I knew one day that we would be friends and one day I'd be
Mm.
working with him. It was so real. So that's where my journey
Wow.
started. Yeah. 31st of January 2017, I decided to leave a very well paying, secure job in senior management with a great organization. And long story short, ended up working with Bob Proctor and got to know him, and yeah, I know the family, and they're absolute. They all of them. Bob was truly the. I've had two leaders in my life that
Yeah.
were the biggest impact. One was my grandmother, and the second was
Mm-hmm.
Bob Proctor, and both of them were. They were almost very similar people. Absolutely beyond words. Beyond words. They were beyond
Mm.
human, Juliana.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. His wisdom is just incredible. So, what does it feels like for you to be working alongside Bob Proctor and all your dream come true in that moment?
It was beyond words. When
Yeah.
I think back now, I know that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt
Mm-hmm.
that the principles I teach, and when you work spirit,
Mm-hmm.
mindset, and then physical, and you align with with that spiritual part of you, you are not only guided, you are
Mm-hmm.
beyond
Mm-hmm.
anything you have ever imagined. You know, this beautiful woman that I'm
Mm.
looking at, excuse me, Yuliana, you know, that is less than 1% of who you truly are. Less
Yeah.
than 1%. And we haven't been taught about ourselves. We haven't been taught how to tap in to the truth of who we are, how to tap in to our incredible potential, how to truly love ourselves.
Mm.
So we think that we are our past, we think that we are our limits, we think that the messages that have been passed down from our families who have not known who they are,
Mm.
have passed down ancestral traumas, or the kids that bullied us at school, or whatever our experience was. Most of us have had trauma in childhood, in adulthood. We think that's
Mm.
who we are. If we failed maths, we think that we're not academic. Okay, so, and the sad thing is, most adults go through life to their grave thinking lies about themselves.
Yeah. You like singing the music in my ears because I wrote the book called Unbecoming You, and it's all about redefining who you are, let go all of this identity that that is not even, shouldn't be yours anyway to begin with. Why are we adopting all of this,
That's
right?
right.
But working with that, like, it's amazing how you said that we haven't even tapped into even 1%. What is, how do we know what is our potential? What is our untapped potential?
That's right. Well, it starts with knowing thyself, learning about yourself. The best investment that you can ever make is the investment in yourself. Now, I'm not sure if we can understand our whole potential while we're in this physical body. We might be able to, I'm sure, leaders like Jesus, Buddha, were able to tap into that, which means, and they all said that they're not different to us. We just have to have the discipline to tap in and do the work.
Yeah.
But the reason I say that is because science now shows us, Yuliana, this is science. This is not something I've made up. This is not religion. This is actual science. Modern day science started with Tesla, Nikola Tesla, Einstein, and now modern quantum physics. Max Planck started, quantum physics, looking at the smallest particle. What quantum physics has showed us that. So I said that you are less than 1%. So actually, you, this beautiful woman that I see, the physical part of you is 0.00001% of who you are.
Wow.
So science is showing us now. So different studies are slightly different, but it doesn't matter. Some studies say 99.99999%. The most popular studies say you are 99.129, so after that percent, nothing. Okay, so less than 1% physical, so you're 0.0001% physical, 99.99% nothing. When they studied this nothingness, they discovered it wasn't nothing at all. It was consciousness.
Yeah.
And then when they went further and proved it, this consciousness wasn't just any consciousness, it's the same consciousness that has created the stars, the galaxies, the beautiful things that we see in this world, the abundance in this world, and it's created you. You are 99.9999999% the greatest intelligence that ever exists. So the problem is, though, that, and it's really not a problem, it's really, well, the problem is we're not disciplined because we live in a world where we are so distracted, where we're so worried, where, social media, the phone, the TV, gossip, all of that distracts us. So if we can just move all that distraction away and come back to ourself, we start discovering more of ourself. And what happens is when we are distracted, so we are conditioned, listen to this, right? This is so powerful if you understand it. We are so conditioned to think with our five senses, with what we see, hear, taste, touch, smell.
Yeah.
And we are so blessed to have our five senses. But we are conditioned to focus 100% on our five senses, what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. 100%. Yet, less than 1% of us, or less than 1% of our who we are is based on the five, or that we can tap into is we can do that through the five senses. Less than 1%. So we are putting 100% of this human experience, we're dedicating it to the five senses, and the five senses rule us, rule our lives. When it's really less, when they are less than 1% of who we truly are. So to tap into your potential, now science is not able to tell us to this day how much potential you have.
But if I would phrase it another way, we actually rely on our 1% to get us into the optimal stage where we had the other 99+% available to us that we don't even use most of the time.
I love that. What a beautiful way to phrase that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you share a little bit about your own journey? So I understand you're creating all this massive impact, all the amazing thing, but behind all of the success, what is it that you actually feel who you are becoming today with your new identity?
Oh, I love that. That's such a beautiful question because identity is something that is constantly changing with
Mm-hmm.
every single goal we have. So, working so closely with Bob, understanding that we have such great potential.
Yeah.
I'm exploring more and more Nikola Tesla. The bigger goals you have to change who you
Mm-hmm.
are. So it's constantly,
Mm-hmm.
and also remember we have more potential that we can achieve in this one lifetime. So,
Mm-hmm.
so my identity to today is really moving closer to to who I am with God working through me. So that relationship
Mm-hmm.
with God, whatever God is, to me, it's whatever it is to you, it is that intelligence, it is that
Yes.
protection that we all have, it is the truth of who we are. So
Mm-hmm.
my identity is a God based identity. So it's myself and God. So it's a woman that's a leader, that's an international leader, that it's taking quantum leaps, but it's not my physical self that's doing that. It's utilizing, it's expanding my vessel so that I am able to let the divine move through me to manifest and to show greatness so that the world, and by the world I mean people
Mm-hmm.
that I'm connected to, my community, my clients, community of clients, are able to also break through and and understand that they are unlimited when they tap into that divine within them. So
Wow.
yeah,
Such a powerful thing. Can I dig just a little deeper with that?
absolutely.
Do you have, I would call it a secret, because I know that I relate to my own journey as someone that is very logical based. My background is a corporate strategist, so I'm actually very logical based. How do we let go that control so that we allow ourselves to be led by spirit and to develop such a strong faith or trust that whatever the path that opens up is the path that meant to for us?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a question that I get asked quite a bit, Juliana.
Mm,
First of all, be grateful for your logical mind. Be
mhm,
grateful because where would the world be if we were all creative? We are all creators, actually. We are all creators. But
mhm,
where would the world be if we need both? We need, right brain thinkers and left brain
mhm,
thinkers. Right. So start with gratitude rather than seeing it as the thing that's blocking you, because it's not. Okay,
mhm.
it's just
Yeah.
the natural way of working. So number two, I would practice stillness. Now, we
Mm,
hear a lot about stillness, but it doesn't take a lot of effort. You can start with 3 minutes, 5 minutes every single morning, and all you do is close your eyes and
mhm,
just focus on your body being still. If that is difficult to do, breathing. So making sure your exhale is longer than your inhale. So inhaling to the count of four,
mhm,
holding to the count of four, and releasing to the count of 8 for 3 minutes. Why do we do
Wow.
it for 3 minutes or more? Because
Mhm.
science shows us that if you do it more than 3 minutes, even just over 3 minutes, it doesn't have to be 4 or 5 minutes. I'd
Yep.
still do it for 5 minutes, but anyway, when you breathe in that way for just over 3 minutes, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system.
Mhm.
Okay, so often logical
Mm.
thinkers are, like you said, wanting to control the outcome,
Yes.
fast-paced, focused. So
Mm.
that means you may be working on stress, on overthinking. Okay, so we want to then, so you're working with the sympathetic nervous system. We want to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the state of relaxation.
Mm.
Okay, so if you're able to do that for 3 to 5
Yeah.
minutes every single day, you will tap into stillness, peace, and a slower mindset
Yep.
if you consistently do it. Third, I would focus on wins. So the mind
Mm.
loves logic too.
Yes.
So have a wins journal. Feel the gratitude. Everyone has gratitude, and write down 3 wins every evening. So what that's going to do for the logical mind, needing
Mhm.
evidence, okay, you can
Yeah.
look back and see your wins as evidence. Okay. Now, most of
Yeah.
the logical mind people need evidence. Research, go into quantum physics.
Mm.
Read the research papers. So these can all give you the evidence that this works. That's what I would do to start off with.
Mm. So it's developing a stronger self-belief that this is actually working, right?
That's right. That's right. Based on evidence. Based on evidence. Yeah.
Yes, based on evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Validations.
Yeah. Now that one breathing
Right.
yeah. Sorry, that one breathing
Mm.
technique that I
Yeah.
suggested will slow your chatter mind down, and the control
Yeah.
will naturally
Yeah,
flow.
definitely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I didn't realize throughout my corporate world, I was so driven and relied a lot on adrenalines, like that adrenaline rush and rushing through deadlines and, commitments and everything. And when I actually finish up my role, I was like, wow, I've become a very different person. Even my partner said, you're very calm now. It's just like radiate something very different because I no longer just chasing and running and pushing it from one thing to another to another. It's just,
Yeah.
like what you say, I regulate a lot of my nervous system, I think, back
Yes.
to that. And I think there's a lot of topics and research recently talking about that as well, that women actually not designed, our biological system actually not designed for this kind of very high level of stress and
Right.
deadlines and commitment at
Right.
workplace, which
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I think women, that are middle-aged also, with the hormonal
mm,
changes and everything that happens
yeah.
in the female body,
Mm,
we are not designed, but there is another way. There's definitely
mm,
another way. I've built my whole
mm,
business on the other way. Yeah.
yeah. Now, I'm gonna ask you one last question. I promise I could be here hours because we just share the same topics, the same belief. But if you could give our listener one key message for them to take away from today's episode, what would that be?
Oh, know yourself, learn about yourself.
Mm,
There's so much potential inside you, and the thing that you want inside you, that deep desire, is there because it's meant to be yours. Just
yes.
take a risk, jump, do it. You are here because you are a gift
Mm,
to whole life. Life is a gift to you, but you are a gift to us.
yeah.
Nobody can feel and do and complete what you are here to do. You have so much potential, so much beauty, so much love within you. So get to know yourself and keep going, because you have everything and
Wow.
more inside you to create the life that you love, to be a success.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. That's a very powerful closing to this. And yes, I truly believe that all of us has the capacity, has the potential, has the power to create the life that we truly, truly deserve. I think most of the time the problem is not the potential. The problem is how do we remove ourselves from blocking ourselves and sabotaging us to realize there's potential, right?
Yes.
Thank you again, Suzana. And I would have Suzana's social media and website handle on the podcast notes below, so you can follow her beautiful and amazing transformational work. Thank you again for your time today, Suzana.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Yuliana.